What's going on, YouTube? This is your boy Atruckernamedjay checking in. I was actually doing some thinking today at work at the local gig that I have at NBI, and I don't know how I got on this, but after doing some thought, I realized that I never really explained how I ended up local. I mean, I believe that I kind of, I updated you guys from brief to brief, but I don't think I went into the full story of about how I got to exactly where I'm at NBI. How did I end up deciding to leave Swift, and I think you guys know the basic stuff. You know what I'm saying, but I never really gave you guys the story and why local is just something that I want to do, and why I don't ever see me going back over the road for the 3 to 4 weeks at a time. I think at where I'm at now, at my headspace, really, I mean, honestly, I really just want to be home every day, but I think that I could probably do the 4 to 5 days a week, 2 to 3 days off if I did some regional type situation. But I just want to explain to you where my headspace is and where I am, where I'm at as far as being local after being so heavily active about OTR, because once upon a time I was a very active advocate for OTR drivers, and actually talked a lot of junk to local drivers. So I know it's a lot of people out there who speak on me like, oh, well, Jay flipped up, he changed up, and I just want to kind of explain why, kind of set the narrative and let you into my headspace a little bit, if you will. So let's go back. Let's go back in time to about the beginning of February. I just turned 27, and I was kind of trying to figure out, the future. I was at Swift Transportation as a company mentor, making great money, and I was just trying to figure out, okay, this is good right now, but what is the long-term goal? What is the long-term situation? And in my head, at that time, I was thinking of staying with Swift, because let me not get it, misconstrued. I love Swift Transportation. Like, this is no disrespect to any of the other companies I worked for up into this company, NBI. And the only reason I like NBI more than Swift is because I'm home every day. But as companies, period, I mean, I started off at CRST as a student, went to Trans Am, then went to Abilene, then went to Swift, then left Swift, went to the port for Great Wide, then left Great Wide, went back to Swift, then left Swift, went back to Great Wide, and then went back to Swift, and then ended up here at NBI. Out of all the companies that I work for, I promise you, I am not trying to, I don't work for Swift anymore. I don't get any referral bonuses, never did. I don't get any type of extra privilege or anything. I swear to you, Swift was the best company I worked for. And this is strictly my opinion. I know people are going to think that this is crazy. I know the people that are going to think like, what Swift? Not the mega carriers. I promise you, as much as King D-Raj, shout out to King D-Raj, as much as he speaks on and how much he loves Stevens, that's how much I love Swift. I love Swift so much. But anyways, getting back on topic, I was with Swift, and I was a company mentor, and I was just trying to figure out what my next move would be after that point. And I was ready to be a company mentor for a good while, because let's be clear, company mentors at Swift eat. They get good bread with the I guess call it the incentive package that they have, as far as the bronze, silver, gold, and platinum. The extra money that you can make, as well as the new policies that they have put in place after the merger with Night Transportation. They made company mentoring very lucrative, because what ended up happening was it was a lot of lease operators who were mentors, but not a lot of company mentors, because you made more money doing it as a lease operator than as a company driver. And with the new policies and pay packages, they tried to kind of narrow that gap of how much company trainers make versus lease trainers. So anyways, I in my mind, I thought that I was going to end up going to like a Lone Mountain and going back to Swift and training in the Lone Mountain lease truck, where my payments would be less than they would have been as a lease operator through Swift's company, which I think is like IEL or Watch House, or not Watch Lease, or whatever it was called. But the payments would have been considerably less, so I would have made or kept more money. And that's what my thought process was. But my brother, my mentor, King D-Raj, was very adamant about me working with him. And I guess I was hesitant. I don't know. It ended up being something that I was considering after talking to him. I talk to him on a daily basis. I still talk to him on a daily basis, even though we've, fallen out, mainly on my part, being too emotional, but we'll get to that in another video. But anyways, he really was like, yo, just come work with me. I keep my eye on you. We can build together, and I can teach you, and we can make a fuckload of money at the same time. And I was with it. I was just, at first I was hesitant for so long, but after a while I saw the light. I saw that he wasn't trying to sell me no dream, and I decided, okay, all right, cool, I'm gonna go work with him. And at that point in February, I said, you know what, cool, let's do it. I was all in. Let's go build this business. Let's go, because our thought process was, no other YouTube truckers had done this successfully. That's not a shot, that was a fact. So we were just going to try to be the first YouTube truckers, and we still, have certain plans in line. We just, we got to see how things going to play out, because now I want to be local, but whatever, I'm not going to give you the full details on that, because I don't want to put that information out. But so we got to a point where it was like, okay, cool, we're going to do it, we're going to move forward. And I had made up my mind, like, yo, I'm leaving Swift, unfortunately, because that was the only thing. Originally, we were going to try to do it and stay with Swift. But Swift changed their policy so much as far as the lease operator side, it just almost made it impossible to do it and be profitable, as far as working together and me staying at Swift. So I decided, okay, cool, I'm going to go to Stevens. So I started the application process with Stevens. Talking to the recruiter. I believe her name was Miss Luann. Shout out to Miss Luann. And I just started giving them all my information. In my mind, I assumed it'd be a simple process, because at that point I was at 2 years of OTR experience, and Stevens takes people with no experience. So I just thought I would be treated as a, you know what I mean, like as a king. And I was for the most part. So what happened was, things were going smooth. Getting them all my information. She approved me. Alright, cool, bet. I'm approved. I think I got approved early February. And then at that point, I told my man D-Raj, I said, look, okay, let's just wait until, I think, March. And if D-Raj listens to this video, I'm pretty sure he will correct me where I kind of forget parts of the story or may misinterpret or whatever. So I said, yo, we're going to do it in March. That'll give me time to, stack some, because what the thing was, I wanted to stack some bread so that when I made the transition to Davis Transport, that I had money in the bank, so I wouldn't be stressing, and because when you transition to companies, and this is just a quick note for any truck driver who are thinking about leaving the company they are with. When you leave the company you're with and you go to another company, you're gonna go about 2-3 weeks without making a regular check. From the time that you leaving the company you at to the time you're going through the orientation, and then you get on that truck for the first or second week, you're just not going to make that regular check that you would with that new company. So I wanted to have that bread, because at this time, I still had bills back home, family to take care of. and the wife's babysitting service wasn't as booming as it is now. So I had to make sure everything was in order. I couldn't just make a move and allow them to suffer, for my decisions. So what ended up happening was I was gonna wait until March. Then all of a sudden, I think what frustrated me was that's when I ran. If you remember my videos, I ran into that student that never had drove a truck before, and I just became overwhelming frustrated with that situation. And I think before I got him, it was the situation. If you go back and look at my old videos, I believe it was the situation where I was in Washington and I had a student that wanted to come on the truck, and I sat for like 2 days waiting on this student to finish training as far as orientation goes. And then he decided, oh well, I'm Islamic or whatever the religion is, no disrespect intended, I don't want to haul pork. And so I was in Washington, and from Washington I had the load to Atlanta that I was almost late to because I sat for the 2 days. And so I just left, went out solo and drove to Atlanta. Atlanta, I think, is where I eventually picked up. I picked up the guy in Atlanta who had been bussed down from Richmond, Virginia. I picked him up in Atlanta, Georgia. But that was the guy who had never driven a truck before. So he had never driven a truck before, and he was horrible. I'm gonna be 100% honest. He probably still on trainers trucks to this day. No disrespect to him, but trucking is not for everybody. Whenever you've never driven a car before, I think I said car. If I said truck before this, I'm apologize. But he had never driven a car before, so his awareness was -5, and I just wasn't about to die trying to train this foreigner who had never been in a moving vehicle on domestic roads, as he put it. Kill me. I just won't even know. So I just got frustrated at that point with the training process with Swift, because that's the one thing with Swift that I didn't like, is that with their training process, they allow so many random people, or not, I ain't gonna say random people, but so many people through their schools, and it's just are you really vetting these people? How did this person get through your training process as far as school goes? And how did he pass? What DOT officer passed this person? Are you kidding me? But anyways, let's fast forward. So, I kicked him off the truck. Around that time, once I kicked him off the truck, I had become so frustrated, I decided to take home time. This was probably closer to around February 14th, 15th. I can't remember the dates. I gotta actually go look at my old videos myself. But I went home. When I went home, me and D-Raj had made the decision. We was like, man, ain't no sense in waiting until March. He was like, I got you. Just come on over, man. Because at that point, I had already quit Swift in my head. You know what I'm saying? Like, in my head, Swift was already in the past, because I already knew in a month I was leaving anyways. And so it just got to the point where it was like, man, I just, when you quit a job in your head, you know what I'm saying, it's hard to stay. It's hard to continue working as normal, because you've already said, you already got accepted to the next gig. Why am I still here? And so every little thing frustrates you with that company. You know what I mean? That maybe didn't frustrate you before, but now it's frustrating. So what ended up happening was I left Swift. And, well, not leave Swift, but I left the truck and went home. And I told D-Raj, I said, man, we're going to move this date up. And we're going to go ahead and, that's when I made the announcement. And some people knew, because, some people are just so intelligent, or they know how to read between the lines. They knew I was going to work for D-Raj. But at that point, that's when I was like, you know what, this is what we're going to do. We're going to move forward with it. Let's go. You know what I'm saying? And went home. Was going to chill for the weekend. I called the Stevens recruiter to move up my orientation date. And, it was supposed to be a smooth process. And that weekend, I'll never forget it, man. I got a hotel room that Friday. I think I got home that Thursday or Friday. I can't even remember. It seems like a blur now, honestly. But woke up Saturday, February 17th. And I got a call from my sister. My older sister, which is, Victoria. And that's when she told me about that my brother had died. I ain't gonna lie, man. That was tough. My brother's only a year older than me. I'm 27, he's 28. Was 28. Still crazy to refer to my brother in past tense, but whatever. And that just, I ain't gonna lie to you guys, man. I'm a pretty emotional dude. Those who know me, been watching my videos, know I'm pretty emotional, pretty sensitive. But that took it to a whole nother level, man. That was just, it just, you know what I mean? I don't even know how to put in words how I felt when I got that phone call that Saturday morning. I just don't. So not to dwell on that too long, because I don't want to, unbury any feelings that I've already buried, or emotions for that matter. Excuse me. So that kind of threw off, because I was supposed to start orientation that next Tuesday. No, excuse me. I think it was Wednesday. Because Stevens does orientations on Sunday and I believe on Wednesday, if I'm not mistaken. Again, D-Raj, please feel free, if you're listening this long, to correct me. And I told him, let me push it back because I wanted to go to my brother's funeral. And what happened from that point was that my brother's funeral, my brother died on February the 17th. He wasn't buried until like the first weekend in March. I don't know why it took that long to bury him. I really don't want to go into all that, but it got pushed back that far. So at this time I was still with Swift. I had just dropped off the dude that had never driven a car before, and I ended up picking up another student. And I told Swift, like, look, because Swift was pressuring me to go back out on the road. It almost felt like they didn't give a fuck about my mind state at that point. They just wanted me hey, let's just go. All right, cool, whatever, man. So I went back on the road, and I took a student with me. Which, to this day, I honestly and truly feel that was a horrible idea. I mean, emotionally, mentally, I just was nowhere near in any type of mind frame to be in a truck with another person 24/7 and be teaching them and be responsible for them. That was a horrible idea. I don't know what I was thinking, but went out for a week, and in that week, man, it just, I kept telling Swift, look, I have to be back home by this certain date to attend my brother's funeral. I'm not going to miss my brother's funeral. And I swear to you, about 4 times they sent me loads that if I would have been naive enough to accept those loads, I would have not made it to my brother's funeral, or I would have logged out of my Qualcomm and driven 15 hours straight to get back home, and probably would have lost my CDL. Like, I'm gonna be 100% honest with you, and that really pissed me off with Swift at that time, especially because I had been such a heavy advocate for Swift, man. It's been talking about all this positive stuff with Swift and how much I love Swift, and y'all screw me like this? Like, I'm, you know what I mean? Like, all these drivers and all these people out here bad mouthing Swift, and I'm out here singing your praises, and you trying to screw me over? Like, come on, man, really? I took a student. You asked me to take a student. I took a student. My brother had just died. I'm trying to be a good old boy for the company. All I'm asking is just get me home by this time, and this is how you know what I'm saying? You kept continuously trying to send me away. Now, granted, they did get me home in time. I got home Friday, the Friday before my brother's funeral. So they end up holding up. They ended a bargain after and some pushback from me. But After I buried my brother, and I spent that weekend home, at that point I was really having some feelings and thoughts about the whole OTR thing. But I had already given a commitment to D-Raj, and I was like, you know what, bro, I'm not gonna do this to you. We made an agreement, we men. I'm not gonna renege on you like that, because it's one thing to renege on these big companies, but the relationship that I have with D-Raj Pauls, the relationship I have with D-Raj, I just didn't want to renege on him like that. So I was gonna hold up to my word. Plus the plane ticket was already paid for too, and I paid damn near $500-$600 for that. So I was going to hold up my end of the deal. What ended up happening, and as a matter of fact, now that I sit here and think, I think this happened before the funeral, if I'm not mistaken. But I got a call from Stevens, my recruiter, Miss Luann, and I was given the news that I was not qualified at that time to be a driver for Stevens Transport. And I asked, well, I was previously qualified. What changed? Well, apparently, after further review of my tickets, I have a ticket in improper driving, I believe is the ticket in Olathe, Kansas, when I was a student driver for Trans Am. Now, what happened was, quick backstory. I went to CRST as a student, okay, and got my CDL and got the fuck up out of there, because of circumstances. Never went back. So instead of going back to CRST and drive for them and make $50 a week like most of my classmates did, shout out to my boy Controversial, I went to Trans Am and started my trucking career there. When I was on the road test for Trans Am, mind you, I'd never been in a truck, never driven on the road. I hit a pole on an industrial road. So when I hit that pole, DOT came out and they gave me a ticket, even though I was still it was another student in the truck and the instructor. And even the instructor said at that point he was surprised that they gave me a ticket. But I was a black guy in Kansas. I'm glad they didn't shoot me. I mean, let's be real. But so I got a ticket for that. Because of that ticket, that improper driving ticket, Stevens disqualified me the day before I was supposed to leave on my flight, because I was now I remember, I was to the point I was about to miss my brother's funeral to go start this situation with D-Raj. I mean, we were looking for plane flights to get me back, like round trips, but they were just so expensive. I think my mom had offered to pay for it, and I think she probably would have ended up, so I probably would have made the funeral, but I was like mentally ready to miss my brother's funeral, which to this day is crazy to me, but that's the commitment that I had given D-Raj at that point. I had given him my word. At the end of the day, all the man have is his word. So anyway, Stevens reneged on me. Stevens told me, nah, we can't take you. You gotta wait a year. So I did my brother's funeral, and at that point, I was kind of in a limbo because, again, mentally, I had quit Swift. Mentally, I was done with him. Stevens had shut the door closed on me, so now I was stuck trying to figure out what the hell I was going to do. And on top of that, I had all this emotion and all this guilt on top of that because of my brother had just died, and my brother wanted a relationship with me so bad, man. And I shut the door on him. Reached out to me so many times just to check on me, say how I was doing on the road, and I shut the door on him. And that guilt, that pain was just unbearable to almost. And then I got to a point, man, it was just, what you gonna do? So I just started applying to a bunch of local jobs, man. I started applying to regional jobs, and I just told myself, man, I'm not going back on the road. And to make a long story short, it came down between MBI and another company. I can't think what the company is. Based out of Indiana, but it was a company that was a heavy haul company, but they had a dry van position that go to the Northeast, and I would have made I think he said $76,000 or whatever, and I would have started off as dry van. 6 months into it, I could have started training on flatbed, then step deck, then heavy load, so I could end up being an oversized load driver, but I would only been home for a 34-hour reset. And I actually was strongly considering that gig because it was through Great Wide, which was the same company that RJR Trucking, which was the company I worked for in the port, had been through. So it would have been a much simpler process than NBI. But right when I was about to choose that company, NBI called me, offered me the position. Home every night. And at that point, I had to really sit back and think about it, running with the wife, and just really ask myself, what do you want to do? The first 2 years of your trucking, right around this time I hit my 2-year mark. And I said, at that point, I had been staying OTR because I felt like it was too soon to really go local and get a decent gig. Now that I'm at the 2-year mark, I have an opportunity to have a decent gig and be home every night. So what is the reason that I wanted to go back up? The only reason I could think of was to go on to partner with D-Raj, but that situation had closed. So in my mind, there was really no reason to go back OTR, on top of the guilt and emotion that I felt for my brother just dying. And now it's just like, you know what? Life is short. My brother died at 28. Am I really about to go back on the road and be gone 3-4 weeks at a time, missing from my family for a little bit more money compared to the money I can make local? And now fast forward, you look at my situation now at NBI, the company I end up going with, and working hard and getting a damn near promotion as an ass driver. Now I'm making 6 figures. But yet you got people out here that'll tell you, man, you should be OTR. You need to sacrifice. Sacrifice what? What are you really sacrificing? Answer me this. You missing time from your family. You missing time from the people that you love most for a couple of extra dollars. Now, that's one thing if you're an owner-op and you building a fleet, or you have plans that you are strictly sticking by, I can respect that. But if you're just going off the word of what the next man said, you an idiot. Understand that at the end of the day, time is the only true currency. I don't care if you're a billionaire. If you die at 28, what is that really doing you? You can't take that billion with you. And I just, you know what I mean? Maybe, I don't know, man. Like, I just can't. My father died at 36. My older brother on my father's side died at 28. I could die tomorrow, next week. My father's side has a history of weak hearts. My mother's side has a history of diabetes, cancer, kidney disease. I don't know when I'm going to die. I have no idea when my last day is. And do I really want to be on the road, missing time from my son and my wife and the people I love the most, chasing money of all things when there's plenty of money locally? That's the shit that was going through my head when I made my decision to go local. That is why I'm local now. Because with the gig that I have, the situation that I have, even though it may not be the average situation, because like I said, the average motherfucker won't open his mouth at these local companies to try to speak his way into a promotion, which is what I did. You have to speak into existence what you're trying to get out of life. Closed mouths don't get fed. It's as simple as that. And I'm hungry. Hungry dog run faster. Hungry dog work harder. Period. So for all these people out here with that OTR stuff, if you ain't got no family, if you ain't got no kids, no significant other, if you ain't never felt the loss of a family member that you could have spent more time with, but you chose money, you can't even talk to me, man. We can't even have this conversation. I get it. Money makes the world go round, but it's just some things that money can't buy, man. Money can't bring my brother back. Money can't take this guilt away that I feel for not spending as much time as I should have with my brother. Money ain't gonna, help build a relationship with my son, because I could leave my son $100,000, he still won't know who I am as a father. That makes me just as much as a deadbeat as It's plenty of millionaire deadbeat dads. Understand that. Your favorite celebrity, or your favorite athlete, your favorite R&B artist or rapper can still be a deadbeat dad and be a millionaire. So don't try to feed me this bullshit that just because I leave my kid a bunch of money or throw a bunch of materialistic shit at them, that makes me a good parent. I refuse to believe that. Because if that's the case, there would be no celebrities in child support court. Time, your presence, things that money can't buy is what make you a good parent, in my opinion, or makes you a good family member. So forgive me if I just don't adapt this philosophy, or if I throw away this philosophy that I had soaked in, that OTR was the only way to be a real truck driver. I'm sorry. I can't get with that anymore. I've had too many things that have happened in my life recently. My grandfather, who is damn near my father, has cancer. He could be gone any day. He was just in the hospital for a week. I can't even imagine how I would have felt if I was 1,000 miles away. He's in the hospital fighting cancer and got pneumonia. I'm sorry, man. If that makes me a pussy nigga, if that makes me weak-minded, if that makes me not strong enough to be a businessman, then so fucking be it. But the last time I checked, peace of mind is worth way more than any dollar you can put in my pocket. Peace of mind is worth way more than anything that I can buy. Anything, you know what I'm saying? That's just my opinion. That's where I'm at with it. And that's why I'm local. That's why I will never go back OTR. That's just where I'm at, man. If you can't understand that, if you can't respect that, I don't know what to tell you. Do your own thing. Just don't try to spit and shit on my lane. Because we good over here. We eating. At the end of the day, as long as you got a CDL, we all eating. We just get upset because this person like Chinese, this person like Mexican, this person like Italian. At the end of the day, we all eating. Local, regional, OTR, whatever. We all eating. We just get upset because this person eating a little different than we are. Their meal a little different. They eating dessert first, then the appetizer, then the entree. But we want to eat the entree, then the appetizer, then the... It don't matter. We all eating. Period. Anybody who has an issue with that, they got some shit inside, internally, that they need to deal with. Happy people don't compare their happiness to each other. It just don't work like that. Only miserable people are unhappy with their situation, and they have to look to other situations. People who are unhappy with their situation rush into decisions, make emotional decisions, make impulsive decisions. So I don't want to hear about no shit because I'm happy. I don't have to rush to be an owner-operator. I don't have to make an impulsive decision to buy a truck before I'm ready. And then that truck break down on me, and now I'm making the sad face, looking for some sympathy because I was rushed into a decision trying to keep up with everybody else. No, I don't have to do that because I'm happy where I'm at. That's just how I feel, man. That's where I'm at. That's my headspace. Period. So that's why I went local, man. That's why I refuse to go back OTR. That's my story. For all those like, damn, Jay, you did you flipped around in a year. Yeah, I have, man. You never know. You never know what life gonna throw your way to throw up your situation. You make a plan on it to fail. And when it fails, you gotta call an audible. Someone said, man plans, God laughs. You never know what God got planned for you if that's what you choose to believe in. So this is where I'm at, man. This is my stance. To anybody listening to this who have been listening this long, only thing I can tell you, don't let anybody make you feel bad for a decision that you feel is best for you and yours. There's too much money out here, too much opportunity, too many different ways to get it for you to make anybody make you feel bad for making a decision that they either are too afraid to make or just don't agree with or don't understand. People fear what they don't understand. So some people can't, just like some people can't understand how somebody could go on the road for 6 weeks and be away from their family. Some people can't understand how someone could be with their family every night and work for a company. They just don't understand. But then again, the way God has made us different, you're just not supposed to understand everybody. That's just, I don't know, man. That's just how I feel. That's just where I'm at with it. But I'm at the 35-minute mark, man. I did not expect for this to be this long. But I hope I reach somebody. I hope I touch somebody, man. I want everybody to find their lane. I want everybody to find their happy place. I don't want you to feel the regret and the hurt that I felt when I buried my brother and sat there and wished that I spent more time with him. I don't want you to come home after 2 years and have to reestablish a whole relationship with your kids. I don't want you to be OTR for 5 years and your kids barely recognize you. You know, you can give them some money, but that's just, what are you really doing? Teaching them materialism? I mean, yeah, you can teach them how to build a business. It's just such a slippery slope, man, because I get it. You're sacrificing for a better future for them, but the best future for them is the future with you there with them. So if you got to do 2 years to get your OTR experience to go local, I understand that. But you cats that's been out there for 5, 6, 7 years away from your kid, and you still ain't making that much more than the local man that's home every day, you got to really think about priorities in your life. You really got to think about how important your kids and your family is to you, because you're going to fucking lose them and not make that much more money. And these cats that's on YouTube fronting like being away from family is cool, I guarantee you behind closed doors when that camera go off, them jokers is beating themselves up alive on the inside, wishing they was home with their family, beating themselves up alive with guilt. Every time they leave the house, gotta leave their family. I promise you that shit eating them up. I used to shed tears every time I left my son. So I don't give a fuck what nobody on YouTube say. That shit is not easy. They make that shit look easy on YouTube because that's just, everybody got to be tough. Everybody got to be that nigga on YouTube. But let me be perfectly clear. If you have kids and you are an OTR driver, every time you leave hometown, it's going to tear you more and more on the inside. It's doing the same thing to your kids. No man wakes up wanting to leave his kids behind to go on the road for some money. So if that's what you're doing, I would hope that you are getting closer to a situation where you no longer have to do that. Because a bunch of money does not make you a great dad. You give your kids thousands of dollars and still be just as much as a deadbeat as the nigga that's smoking weed on the corner and their kids 2 blocks away. In my opinion, your presence is what makes the difference. Presence. But as always, stay safe, stay positive, stay productive. God, family, truck, and I appreciate you if you listen to the podcast for this long. Gone.